Yeah. Yeah. So the first pointer in the talk today. Okay, someone is pinging me privately and asking that is not able to hear my voice. So since others are able to hear my voice, I'm just going to type in here that please check your speaker. Yeah, so I got a private message from one of the participants. Yeah, so please, well, those who are not able to hear me would anyway not get if I say please check your speaker, so I type in the message there. Okay, so we have 43 participants now, so let's begin with the content. So the first pointer we are going to see today is how automated testing came into the picture and how open source tools are becoming so popular. So I suppose all of us have worked at some point of time in our career in automated testing. If not, then at least we have heard of it. And the one tool which very comes into picture often is the QTP, which is kind of called market leader. I'm sure it is not market leader anymore, which has its own proprietary things. It uses VB script. It has lots of things which are built in the tool. And then a couple of open source tools came. Sahi was one of them. Then we had Selenium. Then we had WebDriver. Later on, Selenium and WebDriver merged into one tool, and this was called Selenium 2. Selenium became more and more famous because Selenium had capabilities of driving multiple browsers, whether it is IE, whether it is Firefox, whether it is Chrome. It became also more popular because it was free, so you didn't really have to pay any money to be able to use it, and this is how Selenium became more and more popular. Now, this is one of the primary reasons that since Selenium does not have okay, someone asked me that am I sharing anything? So I'm sharing my screen, but at this point I don't have anything to show. I'll be coming to showing say in 10 minutes from now. So don't worry if you do not see anything else. Okay, I just turned the control to Google now. You guys should see the Google page. Do you? You can just So I got a couple of responses. So I'm really not sharing anything at this point. We will come to the sharing and writing element locators in few minutes from now. So I was talking about Selenium being very popular because it is free of cost and it supports multiple browsers. Now within Selenium itself, we have had 4 categories of tools: Selenium IDE, Selenium Core, Selenium 1, which is also called Selenium Remote Control, and then we have Selenium 2. Selenium 2 is nothing but Selenium 1 and WebDriver, and then we have Selenium Grid. So coming to the Selenium IDE part, it is a browser record and replay tool. If you go to Selenium headquarters, you can download Selenium IDE from there, which is a plugin for Firefox, and you can record your test. You can play around here and there, but it is not so capable in comparison to the Selenium Remote Control or Selenium 2 or WebDriver per se. Then comes to why Selenium 2 came into the picture, why not continuing with Selenium 1. So there was one of the biggest drawback with Selenium 1, that was it was intrusive in nature. So if you see the how test automation is defined, or what is usually said about test automation is a tool itself should not interfere with the application, but that was not the case with Selenium 1 or Remote Control, because it used to inject JavaScript. Okay, someone just pinged me asking me, can you hear Tarun? No, I cannot hear. I don't think you guys can talk. I think only I'll be able to talk until unless I explicitly give control to you, and I think that's the whole idea of the meeting, that I will be able to talk so that there's less of noise. If there's any question, you guys can always post in the chat window, okay? Okay, so I was talking about why Selenium 2 came. So with the Selenium 1, the problem was it uses JavaScript to inject some code in your application to be able to bring control on the, say for example, text box, to be able to write in the text box or to be able to select the drop down value. Now this is not considered a good thing from the point of view of automated test. A tool should not have impact on your application per se. Say for example, you have use cases wherein you have to type in a text box, and if there's a defect in application because of which your text box goes disabled, and if you're not explicitly checking whether text box is disabled or not, Selenium 1 or Selenium remote control would still be able to type in the text box and will not complain anything, and this way you are going to miss such defects. But in case of Selenium 2, if your text box is not editable, or if your radio button is not something which could be selected, in that case you would encounter error from Selenium 2. Yeah, so this is why Selenium 2 is preferred nowadays over Selenium 1. Okay, we have few more participants coming in. Hi Devraj. We have just started with the meeting, and we are just going to focus on element locators today. I was talking of Selenium 1, Selenium IDE, how Selenium 2 came, why Selenium 2 is preferred, because Selenium 1 is intrusive in nature, it affects the application, which is not a good thing when it comes to test automation. Now talking about the element locators. So what are element locators? So whichever tool you talk about, whichever tool you take into consideration, the primary aspect of your use cases or use cases which you are going to automate is going to be bringing the control of the application. Now to bring the control on the application, your application has to expose some of the features. These features could be in terms of exposing HTML elements. It could be ID, it could be name, it could be class. Yeah, it could be other things as well. Tulsi is asking Selenium 2 is WebDriver. Yeah, Tulsi, it is indeed WebDriver. The difference is Selenium 2 also has Selenium 1 API, so it has WebDriver as well as Selenium 1 API, so it has both. Guys, please type your message in English because not everyone is in India in this meeting. Please do that. Yeah. Devraj, I'm not sure, I think you will not be able to record it. I'm recording it, so don't worry about it. Once meeting is over, I'll share recording with everyone, okay? Yeah, I think Vasant, as far as questions about what I'm talking is concerned, you can ask then and there. But if there is some technical difficulty, yeah, even that you can ask. But I think most of you are able to hear me and see my screen. So I think those who are not able to hear or see my screen have problem with their system. Okay. So Tulsi is asking me the architectural difference of Selenium 1 and 2. Tulsi, we have an extended topic about it, but I'll brief about this here. That the difference is, in case of Selenium 1, it has the same phenomena with respect to the browsers. Whether it is IE, whether it is Firefox, or whether it is Chrome, it tries to inject the JavaScript. And that's not the same in case of Selenium 2. In case of Selenium 2, it has different mechanism to interact with different browsers. For example, in case of Firefox, it acts as a Firefox plugin. In case of IE, it tries to interact with the COM objects of IE. In case of Chrome, there is a bridge between your Chrome driver as well as the application code which you are writing. So for each browser, the mechanism to drive the browser is different in case of Selenium 2, which is not the case with Selenium 1. Okay, there are many questions coming in. Okay, so Rahul is asking, yeah, I'll be completely covering the WebDriver because I'm going to focus on the WebDriver here. Not remote control per se. In fact, users who are using remote control, I'm going to ask to suggest them to move to Selenium remote control, to move to Selenium WebDriver. We in fact have a session coming up which talks of how you can do the migration of Selenium remote control to WebDriver. So I think that answers your question. No, Tulsi, there is no mediator. I think you are referring to the server here. So we will not have to start server or anything in case of WebDriver. Yeah. Yes, we will have a look at framework also. So Rahul asked the question if we are going to have the framework. Yeah, we are going to see those as well. Yeah. So is there any more question about what I spoke so far, or shall I move on to the element location? Okay, Julie had a suggestion. I think everyone has seen that. Yeah, to see over the proposed meeting agenda. Yeah, that will help everyone. I will also do one thing, that I will segregate the agenda for every meeting so that it becomes easier for everyone to know what is coming when. I should have done that already. Okay, so let's go ahead with the element locators. So yeah, so many a times we will see that it is suggested to use element locators, or it is suggested to test element locators with respect to the Selenium IDE, but we will see that Selenium IDE is not the primary resource which could be used to test the element locators. We could as well test the element locators using Chrome and Firebug, but let's first see using IDE how we can do that. So I have IDE open here, so can you guys see the Firefox browser which I opened now? Okay, great. So you see the Google is, I opened the Google. I'm just going to say inspect element with Firebug. Firebug is another famous add-on with Firefox. Developers just love this add-on. You can download it from Firefox add-on page. So I just right-clicked there and I'm going to say inspect element with Firebug. Yeah, so you can see the bottom section of my screen now. A pan has come up there and you can see there some HTML wherein we have input with ID. And ID is GBQFQ. This is a name given by Google. I don't know for what reason. I'm just going to copy that. Yeah, I've copied it. And in the Selenium IDE window, I bring the control there now. And in front of the find, there's a text box. I'm going to type in there the ID which we just copied, and I can click on the find now. So as soon as I click on the find, you will see the text box that is Google search box will be highlighted. Yeah, so did you see that there was a yellow line coming? Yeah, so this is one way to test the element locator. This is pretty simple. It was just an ID. In fact, we really did not need, needed to type in IDE and then test whether it would work or not. Someone, Pushparaj, is asking me to remove ads from the right side. So I think you guys are seeing some ads. I do not have control on them because I'm using the free account of AnyMeeting, and they are coming from AnyMeeting. So I really do not have any control on them, and I wasn't in position to buy their commercial account. They charge as much as $15 to $20, so that was a little difficult. Please bear with the ads. I don't have control on them. Yeah. Okay. So coming back to testing element locator. So this is one way you can test it from IDE, but that's not really something which could be done using only IDE. You can as well test from Firebug console. So you see I brought the cursor on the Firebug console here. You can as well test the IDE. You can as well test the element locator from here, or you can test it from Chrome console. I'm going to switch to Chrome at this point. Chrome has built-in console. You really don't have to download anything else. It comes with Chrome itself, and you can test your element locator. So let's just switch to Chrome now. I'm not using the Firebug console here because my Firefox crashes with that. You can test the same locators using Firebug as well. So let me just go to Chrome. Yeah, I'm opening the same page here. Yeah, so after having downloaded the Chrome, if you hit the F12 key, you will see the console here. So at this point, the control is on Elements tab. Do you guys see that? Okay, yeah. Okay, now if you click the escape key, it will bring another panel. So do you see another panel has come towards the panel which was already open? Okay, you can either hit the escape key or you can click on the hide console. Yeah, there is one button towards the bottom, yeah, using which you could bring it up and down. So there is lots of data already coming in there. I'll just clear it by saying Control L. Yeah, so that's clear now. So we can write our query here also, and then we can test it. Now I was referring to if there are IDs and name already available with the element, you really don't have to test it this way. Use the testing part of it only when you have to write complex element locators. Okay, there's a question here. Yeah, Tulsi, this console comes by default with Chrome browser. You really don't have to download anything. So that is less hassle in comparison to Firefox, I would say. Okay, so yeah, so moving forward to xPath. So we will see writing xPath. How do we do that? How we can test the xPath here? So we are going to use two functions today. With xPath, we will use something called $x, which is $x. You guys should see it on my screen. And with respect to CSS locator, we will use something called $. Okay, so let's begin with the $x first, which is to test the xPath. Okay. Yeah, I have already written a couple of element locators which I was testing on Wikipedia page. So I'll just switch on to Wikipedia and then we'll come to Google. Yeah, so this is the Wikipedia homepage. I'm going to press F12 so the console comes up, and then I'll hit the escape key to bring the pan wherein I can write the element locators. So it comes here. Yeah. Yeah. So if you see in the Wikipedia page, okay, there's a question here. Yeah, Manoj, you are right. It is the Chrome console is like IE developer toolbar. I think that comes with IE 8 and 9 now. Yeah. So coming back to the Wikipedia page, we have a search box here. Yeah. So the same way how we saw doing this with Firefox, I am just hitting the inspect element here. Yeah. So you see the control has come on the input HTML element here. Yeah, so here the ID search input, so I'm just going to copy that. Yeah, so the way we had tested the ID using the Selenium IDE, we can do in xPath as well. Here we will write xPath as $x in brackets. Rakesh, will come to your question later. I think it's not with the flow of what we are discussing today, so we'll come to that later. Yeah, so I was talking about xPath, testing at xPath with Chrome. So it is tested using $x, and then in the brackets we will enter quotation and we will write it as /input @ID. ID is the attribute here, equal to, in quotation, the value of the attribute, which is search input. So I'll just copy and paste that here. Yeah. And if I hit enter at this point, if it is a valid xPath, Chrome will recognize it. Yeah. So do you see that there's a result come up here, which is same as what is there in the HTML? Do you guys see that? Okay, great. Okay, so this means that this is a valid xPath. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I got it. You guys can see that. Also, if if your HTML pan is really big, there's one more feature in Chrome here. You can say reveal in element panel. So it will highlight, it would bring control where in the element panel the HTML element is which you are trying to test at this point. Okay, now since it is just ID, I will not suggest going with the xPath here because xPath tends to be slower than ID or name. So if there is ID available, you can directly use the ID. Now when we would use the xPath or CSS selector? So coming to the xPath, there might be cases wherein you cannot identify element uniquely by using just one attribute. Consider in this example, okay, there's a question. Okay, so there's a question from Pushparaj. He is asking whether it's a valid xPath or not. So see Pushparaj, what will happen in this case is, consider that I am not writing a valid xPath. Consider I make it as, okay, let me just clear the screen again. Yeah, so I have this xPath. Let me make it ID equal to search input 1. If I do that and if I hit enter, nothing will come. It means that it's not a valid xPath. Do you see that? Yeah, so this is how we can test it. Yeah, I'll just make it valid again. Just to repeat how to clear the screen, just say Control L, it will clear the screen. Yeah, so this is the valid xPath. Okay, someone is asking what is $x. $x is the function, Satyendra. Yeah, so $x is the function to test the xPath. So the syntax goes as $x in the bracket, in the quotation, your xPath. Okay, Pushparaj is asking again significance. So Pushparaj, if you're writing the complex queries, in that case you may like to test your element locators first before running your script, because after running your script, if you find that your element locator itself is not right, then it's a sheer waste of time in running the script to find out whether element locator is right or not. So you may first like to test your element locator before using it in your script. Okay, does that answer your question, Pushparaj? Okay. I have one more question from Ghosh. He is asking why //. So if you see how xPath works is // means anywhere in the HTML DOM. So there are two ways to represent it here. You can say just /. Okay. So it means it should be a direct child of your DOM, but it's not a direct child of your DOM. It is available somewhere within the DOM. So you can say that // sorry, 2/, which means the relative path. which means to say that it could be available anywhere within that ROM. So if I use // only in that case it works. Yeah, it's a syntax. It's a syntax, but it's important to know why we use // sometimes and why / sometimes. So if you're using just one slash, it should be the direct child. In case of // it should be relative. I'll come to more explanation of slash and slash later. Yes, Mohammed, we can test the same thing in Firefox browser as well. We'll have to use the Firebug in that case, which is a plugin, as I was referring earlier. Yeah. Yeah, Firepath. Yeah, we can use Firepath as well. So there are a variety of plugins. So it's not just limited to using Selenium IDE or Firebug or Chrome Console. Whatever fits your need, you can use that. My whole objective of showing it here was to be able to write more complex XPath queries and not to emphasize that you should use only Chrome. Whatever suits you, you can use that. Okay, so Tulsi is asking what to do if application only runs on IE. In that case, I would suggest to use the IE developer toolbar to find out the DOM locations and the attributes and other thing. Once you are comfortable in writing XPath, seeing the HTML itself, you'll be able to write that. So it should not be a difficulty. Okay, yeah, Rahul is correct. Meeting will not get over. So yeah, let's move on to the next discussion point. Yeah. So I was referring that. Yeah. So since ID, if there is a direct ID available, we will not be using XPath because it takes time for identify element using XPath. But when to use XPath or CSS selector? When one of the possibility is when we want to identify elements uniquely, especially say for example ID is common across multiple elements, which is a very bad practice in terms of designing, but you might come across such things. Or the name is common, but say the class is different, or say ID is common but the name is different, or name is common but ID is different. So see, let us see one such example here. So I just cleared the screen and brought back the XPath which I had written earlier. So we are identifying element using ID here. Yeah. So I've just added one more block in front of that, and I am going to add name as well here. Yeah. So we have elements. We are trying to identify elements at this point using two attributes. One is ID, another is name. So if I hit enter now, we will see the same result in this case as well. Okay. Okay. Now there are questions or there are situations when we see that element ID or name is not constant or not entirely constant. So a part would be constant, but the remaining part would keep changing. In that case, we can identify the element using the starts with expression. Say for example, okay, you guys are having some parallel chat, so that's okay. Let me continue with the session. Yeah. So in that case, we can use one of the method in XPath called starts with. So consider if your starting characters of attribute is constant, in that case you can use a starts with. Yeah. So Asif, I was referring to the same situation here, that if it is partially constant, we can still go ahead with that. So let me give you one such example here. Say I'm using the same element here and considering that the ID is not constant, though it is constant here, but let's assume that only the starting part is constant. So in this case, we can use the starts with function as / input bracket, then say starts hyphen with, in the bracket ID comma starts with. So see, I'm not writing the entire search input in this case. I'm just writing the search part. Let's end this and let's hit enter. Okay, so see, it again identifies the same element. What I have done here is I'm identifying element only on the basis of beginning character of the attribute. I'm assuming that the later characters are not constant. They keep changing with every application refresh, or you wrote the application. Okay, so Asif has a question that what if ID is not constant? Okay, are you guys able to see the xPath which I am writing, or you are not able to see? You have a maximize button on your screen. You can click that. You will see my entire screen. Don't see it in a minimize window. It will not be very clear. Yeah, you guys can zoom. Yeah. Okay, so let's move forward. So this we saw with the starts with. Now there is also something called substring. Using substring we can find the pattern. Consider, for example, it is not starts with, it is from some character to some character, you know that. In that case you can say that get me the element which begins from certain character and goes to certain character. So let us just see that. Yeah. So I'll modify this element locator again. So I'll use the function substring here instead of start with. Yeah. So this is substring here. How its syntax goes is substring followed by the attribute. So I'm going to use ID here again, followed by the begin character. So notice that the characters begin with 1 here. So I'm giving substring ID begins with character 2 equal to, yeah. So what I will write here is the second character. So in case of search input, the second character is E. So I'll begin from EARCH INPUT. Yeah. Yeah. So you guys see that it identifies the same element here. That is, it checks whether the substring of the attribute ID beginning from second character is EARCH input or not. Do you guys see that? Okay, great. Okay, so substring also takes the end attribute. So what we had given here 2 was the start attribute. We did not give any end attribute, so we can give end attribute also. So let me just try that as well. Yeah, so we can. So second is the character from where we want it to begin with, and then I'm going to begin the give the end character. So let me give 5 as the end character. In this case, it will search. It will find the element search input again. Okay, I'll just come to your question, Ghosh, in a second. Yeah, so I've given the end character here. So end character number I have given as 5. In this case, it will begin from 2 and will go to 5th character. Okay, so if I just hit enter now, it will identify the same locator. Now, a few of you might have this question that I have given end character as 5, but I am still searching that I'm still giving the string as EARCH, while the H is the 6th character. So do you guys have this question on your mind that I have given 5th as the end character, but I'm still giving EARCH, while C is the end character, which is the 5th character, while H is the 6th character. So do you guys see this? There is some discrepancy, or it looks like that there is some discrepancy here. Okay, I think you guys did not get my question. I was asking that I have given the begin character as 2, I have given the end character as 5, and I have given the string as equal to EARCH, but if you see H is the 6th character in search button, it is not the 5th character, so how come it is working? So it looks a little odd here, isn't it? Yeah, so that was my question. So how the substring works is, in this case, your end character is going to be something which is less than the summation of your begin as well as, no, index begins with 1, index doesn't begin with 0. Index, remember this thing, this is a little different from traditional arrays which we have been reading. Index begins with 1, it doesn't begin with 0 in case of xPath. How we are able to give the H, which is a 6th character, and still able to see this is because in this case the end character is going to be something which is less than the summation of begin and the end character number which we have given. So in this case our begin character length is 2, end character length is 5, summation of these is 7, less than 7 is the 6. So we have to give the character till the 6th. Did you get my point? I'm sorry. Okay, a few did not get it, so I'll try to explain it again. If we are specifying the third character, that is the limit, that is till where we have to search it, which is the 5 in this case. In this situation, we have to give the character string which is less than the summation of start and the end character number. Exactly, a few have written it already. So if you see 2 plus 5 is 7 and less than 7 is the 6. So we have to give the character length till 6. Exactly. Exactly. Yes, Tribhuvan, that's the case. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So everyone has got it. So we can move on to the next pointer now. So we will see something called how we can avoid the spacing in case of characters or in case of strings. I came across this many times because I used to see that at certain point I will have a string reference and then I want to validate it that whether same string reference is available in some element or not. It may be input value or inner text, and then I would find that it is not trimmed, or there are extra spaces between character itself, so that becomes difficult in case of testing. So let us see an example of how we can trim spaces in xPath. I'm going to Google now. So do you guys see the Google page? Okay, so let me do a search on Google here. I'll just say Selenium. Okay, I just say Selenium itself. Okay, it's giving me the results here. Okay, so if we have a look at the title of the page, yeah, let us see that. Let us see the title of the page. Okay, so if you see in here, the title is, let me just highlight it. Yeah, so there are no actually spaces in case of title here. So let me try to introduce some spaces here. Before that, we can test the title as it is also. So let us test the title. I'm again using the $x function here. Brackets, in quotation, again double slash. So last time we used the input element, here we are using the title. In the brackets, I'm going to say text. So there's a function called text here which I'm using. So I'll say text equal to, yeah, I'll just copy this text. Yeah, so you guys see that it identifies that, isn't it? Do you guys see that? Yeah, okay. Now I will make some changes in this. So what I'm going to do here is I'll give some spaces in Selenium here, the search term. So I'll go to the search box again. Okay, someone is asking me how do you confirm that you have typed text. Tribhuvan, I did not get your question. Can you elaborate? See that I use the function text here because if you see the title HTML here, the Selenium Google search text is the inner text. So text is a function in xPath which you could use to get the inner text of element. Does it answer your question? No, it does not. Okay, can you elaborate your question while I'll try to see the next locator? Okay, title is there. Okay. Yes, exactly. So title is there in the tag, but if you see the title is the inner text. So this is one of the HTML property here. So you have title begin tag, title end tag, and then you have Selenium -Google search. So Selenium is a term which we entered, and Google search is injected by Google. So this is the inner text. Yeah. Okay, so I suppose that's clear now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so this is something which I'm using Chrome console. I think a few have doubts about here. Okay, so this is Chrome console. Okay, so let's move on to giving some spaces in our search term. So I'll give some beginning spaces here, some end spaces here. I'll hit enter. Yeah, so results are same, but if you see here in the title tag, the spaces are introduced. Do you guys see that there are lots of spaces between Selenium and Google search? Yeah. Now, if I try to use the same element locator here, it will not work. See, no result appeared because title is not exactly equal to Selenium Google search. Okay, so in that case, what we can use is there's a function called normalize space which trims the spaces. The advantage of this function is you have usually seen the trimming working with respect to the beginning index and the end index. That is, it trims the left hand side spaces and right hand side spaces. But the xPath trimming function is trims the spaces in between as well. So if there are more than one character spaces, it would work with that as well. For example, let me just do this. I'll remove the end space here. I'll make a search again. Yeah. So if you see now, we have only the beginning character space here. Okay, Vasant will come to your question little later. Yeah. So we have only the beginning character space at this point, but our expression will still not work because we have not given these spaces. Now, one way to get around this is to give spaces in your text equal to in the same number of spaces, but that's not a good approach because we never can be sure that how many spaces would be there. So we will use a function of xPath called normalize space. So instead of text, what I'm going to write here is normalize space. Yeah, and here I'll write text, and then here I'll write yeah. So do you guys see that it searches the Selenium Google search title? Do you guys see that? Okay, so this is one advantage here. Now, as I referred here, we have given spaces only in the beginning. Okay, but you may come across the situation where you have spaces towards end as well. So let me do that also. So if I give spaces here as well, and now if I hit enter, and if I have a look at title at this point, so you have spaces before word Selenium. Notice that you have spaces even after word Selenium and before the hyphen. Now, if you see the other trimming options which you have, say in Java itself, they do not really trim the in-between spaces. They trim the beginning space and the ending space. But the normalize space function will trim the other spaces as well. I'll just clear the screen. I will just repeat that. You can clear the screen using Control L. Yeah, now if I try this function, it will still work. See that? It still identifies the element because what it is doing is, it is trimming those extra spaces between the Selenium and the hyphen to just one space. Okay. Okay, Pushpara says that he doesn't do such fancy stuff. Yeah, so you guys might not really come across with this with your day-to-day operation, but since I came across this and I thought it may be worth sharing it, so I'm just sharing it. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, I'm indeed recording it, so I'll share the recording once the session is over. Yeah, the screen sharing button is on, so don't worry about that. Okay, so this was about normalized space. There is one more syntax which you might see at times. That is, instead of writing the text, you will see, yeah, you will see a dot is given. So you can consider the dot as a text itself. Dot identifies the current node itself. So instead of writing text function, I can also write dot here, and I can hit enter. It will give the same thing. So you really don't have to write text every time. You can just say the dot, which means the current node. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so let's see something called contains. We had seen the starts with already, but you may come across situation wherein it's not the starts with. It could be your element could be repeat. Okay, someone is asking me to repeat. Mrinal. Okay, Mrinal. I was referring to earlier. Yeah, I got your point, Mrinal. So I was referring to the dot function. So I said that I used the text in this way earlier. So I wrote normalize hyphen space text equal to the text, the title. So it works. So instead of using the text function every time, you could as well use the dot. So say I'll just clear the screen and I have come back to the same locator. So you don't have to write text every time. You can just say the dot. Dot here means the same thing as text. Did you get my point, Pranav? Okay, yeah. So it will give us the same result. So I was referring to that. Yeah. Okay. So let's see the contains now. So we spoke of starts with, but in case of starts with, your element attribute or whatever you are checking has to starts with whatever you are giving in. But that may not be the true every time. So if you have to see the, you have to find an element wherein the pattern could be matching anywhere in the string, then you can use the contains. So I'm going back to the Wikipedia page now. Yeah, so here, yeah, so in case of our input, I'll just bring it back to input at the rate of ID equal to search input. Yeah, so this is one way. Now consider your element is not constant, so you can as well use the contains function here. Let me clear the screen using Control L. Okay, so after the opening bracket, I'll say contains. Yeah, and I'll begin a bracket here. I'll give a comma here, and now I can give anything which matches the pattern. So I'll give HIN. I'll end the bracket here. Okay, this element is not right. Let me just correct it. Oh yeah, contains the spelling is not correct. The attendees are really attentive. Thanks for that. I'll correct the spelling. Yeah, so this is the right spelling. Thank you guys. Yeah, I have corrected the spelling now. So you guys should see the same element is being identified. So you can use contains, you know, when the pattern is matching anywhere. It's not just the starts with or ends with. It could be anywhere. Yeah. Okay. Now we will have a look at xPath access. xPath access is a way using which you could navigate back in the DOM. So for example, many a times you may not have constant element locators, but if you have constant element locators with some other element, using that element you could navigate back or forth in case of xPath, and this is something which is really good feature of xPath, because if you talk about CSS, you will see that in CSS you cannot navigate back. You can navigate only forward, but in case of xPath you can navigate back also. This is the reason why xPath is slower. This is the reason why CSS is faster than xPath, because it always navigates forward and not the backward. Okay, I see the time is already 8:50. I had set up this meeting for 1 hour. So do you guys want me to continue with xPath access? Okay, I'll continue. There are so many years. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let me continue with that. So first we will see the following sibling xPath access. So let us just see the following sibling xPath. Okay, so we'll continue with this example itself. So I have so consider our search input is not, the ID is not constant, so we identified it using the content. Now consider we don't want to bring control on this. Actually we want to bring control on the okay, I'll come to that later, Manu. Tokenize function. Actually I myself am not aware of that, so I'll have to have a look at before I could come to that. Yeah, so I was talking about the xPath access. So consider we have brought control on search input already, and the select is something which we do not know. For example, here we have the ID, but you may come across a situation where you do not have ID. So in that case, you can identify it using the input itself. Pushparaj, as I said earlier, you really don't have to use ID for element identification. I'll come to that where you can use ID. Let us just continue with the xPath at this point. Yeah. So in this case, if you want to bring control on select element using the input element, assuming that select element cannot be identified uniquely, we can just do this. Having written the input element, we can write slash. The access goes as following sibling. Okay. Notice the syntax here. Two colons, followed by what kind of element it is. So name of the element, which is select. I'll just do this. I hit the enter. So do you see this? It has brought me the select as the outcome of it. Okay, let me repeat it. I had written, we had come till input element. Okay, you guys remember that? We were able to identify input element, right? Yeah. Now what I said was, we will try to bring control on the select using the input element, considering that select does not have any ID or name or anything which we could use here. So what I did was, I just added the following sibling access here. Its syntax goes as slash following hyphen sibling colon colon name of the element. So name of the element what we have given here is the select. So since its following sibling select is only one, is going to give us the that. Yeah, so this is the way to bring control on the select. Okay. Now, if we had not given the select, say for example, if we had given input, what we would get? Let us see that. Yeah. So do you see that there are two input elements coming up here, 1 and 2? Yes, Jai Krishna. Select is for drop down box. Yeah. Yeah. So I changed the following sibling node here. From select I made it input, and there are since two input elements which are siblings of the input element, which is search input. We get to have two input elements here. Do you guys see that? Okay, great. Now consider you wanted to bring control on the second input element, which is go. So I suppose it is referring to some element here. So in that case, what you could have done is you could have just given input number as 2. Okay. Now do you guys see that it has brought just one input element, which is the second input element? We don't get two input element. So using the number or using the number, we can identify only one element here. Okay, I think everyone got this. Okay, so this was about the following sibling. Now consider there are situations when you can navigate back. Okay, so consider you want to bring control on say field set here, and if you see the field set does not have any, it doesn't have ID, name or any other element. So, but we know that the input element has the ID, so we can bring control on field set using input element. How do we do that? In that case, we'll have to use something called parent. I'll just clear the screen and bring our input element back. Yeah. So this is our input element. Now what we want to do is we want to bring control on the field set. So what we can do, we can use the parent access. Just use the slash, say parent colon colon and the label you want to use. So in this case it is field set. Yeah. So do you guys see that it brought control on field set? There is only one field set, so that's being written here. Yeah. Okay. So this was about the following sibling and parent. In case of parent, we can use one more thing. Instead of just saying slash parent, you can also use slash dot dot. It will get the same result. Let me just write that. Yeah. So to bring control on immediate parent, you can just do slash dot dot. Yeah. So it returns the same result. This syntax looks cleaner than writing slash parent colon colon and the tag name, isn't it? Okay. You can also make a chain of this. For example, you can say slash dot dot, you can again say slash dot dot. So it will bring control on parent of parent. Okay, so you see it brings control on, it shows us the form ID, which is parent of field set, right? Do you guys see that? I just use slash dot dot slash dot dot, so it brings control on parent of parent. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Now we can make it even more complex, so we can try that also. Okay, so if you see here, form's next sibling is okay, it does not have any next sibling, but we see that its parent is div. So let us try to bring control on div at this point. Okay, yeah, sure. I'll show the parent syntax once again. So there are two ways to bring control on parent. You can either say parent colon colon name of the tag, which was field set earlier. So we can do this either, or yeah, so we can do this. So if you see, the input element is the child of field set. So having written slash parent colon colon field set, it brings control on field set. Do you see that, Tulsi? Okay, great. Okay, so I was saying that you don't really have to use parent colon slash slash. It's a little complex syntax. You can also just say slash dot dot. So sorry. Yeah, slash dot dot. So it brings control on the parent. And I was saying that you can also bring control of parent dot parent. So I will use 2 slash dot dot. So in this case, we get to reach the form ID. Okay. Let us make it a little more complex. We will go to the parent of form ID also. So if I do this now, type after parent. Mrinal, it depends. If you want to force that you want only, it's not related only with parent or for parent, it is applicable for following sibling also. So if you want to enforce that it should be only that type of tag, then you can identify it. Otherwise, you could also write star. In this case, it would match anything. Yeah, I got your point. Yeah, okay, so you got my answer. Okay, so let's come back to the previous example. Yeah, so if you see here now, I have written 3 times slash dot dot. It means it's going to bring control on the div, which is the parent of your form also. So let me just hit enter here. Yeah, so here comes your div. Now consider you want to identify the next sibling of div. So if you see the next sibling of div is many divs. So if I do that, let me just clear it. And if I say slash following hyphen sibling colon div, yeah, so the div which we have control on, it has many siblings with the div, so it shows us all of those divs. Do you guys see that? Okay, great. Now consider you want to bring control on first or second or just third div. So what you can do is after the div you can write the number of the div on which you want to bring the control. So just say third. Yeah, so we will get only one div in this case. So these methods of access using xPath could be really beneficial in the case when you do not have any constant ID for the element on which you want to bring the control, but you know that there is some element which you can identify uniquely. Then this could be really helpful. Okay, so we have seen the following sibling. Okay, like the following sibling, we can also use the preceding sibling. So as its name indicates, preceding sibling is going to give you the previous sibling. So if I just bring back our input element, okay, let us pick up something different here. We are using input from long. I'll use the select this time. So syntax goes as same, select. It has constant ID, so I'll just use the ID. Okay, so this we identify the select element. Now I want to bring control on the input. So consider in this case select has the constant identifier, but imagine that input did not have constant identifier. So we bring control on select first, and then we use the preceding sibling xPath access. Preceding sibling colon input. Yeah, so see, the control comes on the input element, which is the previous sibling, then your select element. Yeah, definitely Pushpa. Whatever I am going to explain here could be used in WebDriver, otherwise I will not be explaining it here. So if you see, when we come to WebDriver, we will see something called element identification using xPath. So whatever xPath we have seen here could be used in the WebDriver eventually. Okay, Mrinal, I remember your question you had asked earlier, why only the input element. So if you don't want to enforce input here, you can just use the star here. It will still identify the same element, given that we only have one preceding sibling here. Yeah, so you can as well use the star if you don't want to enforce that this should be input. So this was about the preceding sibling. Okay, okay, should I move on to CSS now? How to select value inside the Dropbox. Inside the Dropbox, how to select the value? Jai Krishna, there are two ways to do this. One is you can execute the JavaScript, which we would see when we come to the WebDriver. Selection of values we will see when we come to the WebDriver itself, not in the element locators. So you'll have to wait a little for that. Okay, so should I move on to CSS now, or shall we? Okay, let me see the CSS now. So in case of xPath, we were using function as $x. In case of CSS, we will be using something called $. Okay. The syntax changes a little bit. In case of xpath, we were writing it as // but here we will write it as select. There's no // it is related only with xpath. We were writing as @ of id, which is an attribute, so it was going as @ of attribute equal to attribute value, but here it will go as id equal to, so there is no @ of here. Yeah, so this is a CSS locator. So prefer CSS locator over xpath as long as possible, but as I said that in CSS locator you cannot navigate back, you do not have functions like xpath access, so you will have to use xpath in that case. Now if you want to combine multiple CSS locator, you can combine them as, this is one attribute, say I'll use another attribute here, name equal to language. Yeah, so the difference is it is $, not $x, there is no // and we do not use the @ of symbol in front of attribute here. Okay, so this is about if they match the entire thing. Now consider your element does not match the entire thing. Yeah, I think I will take just 10 more minutes, not more than that, don't worry. Yeah. Okay, so if your element does not match the entire thing, consider the ID attribute is not language, is something else, and only the language part is constant. Okay, yeah, I'm showing the syntax once again. Okay, let's see this. To test it, you have to use the CSS locator as $. Begin with the bracket, the same way as xpath. Begin with the quotation, and then write it as select. Don't use @ of, just say ID and equal to the value of the ID, and just hit the enter. That's all. I'm not quite sure, Vasant, how CSS locator works. I'm not quite sure. I might not be able to answer your question. I'll make a note of it. Okay, with respect to two attributes, okay, there are very different questions coming in. Muaz, we are discussing about the element location strategy with respect to the Selenium. So we saw xpath earlier, and now we are seeing the CSS locator. So before using them in our code, we may like to test them whether they work or not. So we are seeing that part. Okay, someone asked how to combine two. In case of combination of two, we have one here, and in case we want to add another attribute, we will say another square bracket, name of the attribute and the value of the attribute. Yeah, in this way. So in case of xpath, we were appending it with @. Here there is no @. Okay, so we are done with this. So I was referring to consider if only a part of attribute is constant. In that case, we can use *= to. So consider imagine the language attribute was not constant. Consider it was only say GUAG, which was constant. So we can use this as ID * = GUAG. Yeah, it will give us the same element. Yeah, so yeah, you could use these with CSS locators. So yeah, that's about it with CSS locators. So I was thinking to have one exercise end of it to give it to you guys before we come to the next meeting. But before that, you guys can ask more questions if there is anything. Is there any question? Pushparaj, we'll see WebDriver or IDE in the next session. We'll see the WebDriver or IDE in the next session. 2:30 AM. Okay, for someone it is 2:30 AM. Okay, with respect to the timing and other things, can you please post it on the forum so that others can also give their opinion? Timing is not a problem for me, but it should suit everyone. So yeah, I will share the recording, Rahul. So don't worry about that. Okay. Any more questions? Okay, so I wanted to give 3 questions to you guys before we end this session. So my first question is, if there are no more questions from you guys, yeah, so hang on a second, I want to give you one sort of exercise here. So my first question is, we saw with the xPath, yeah, please post your recommendation about the timing in the forum, not here. Yeah, please don't fight over the time now. Okay, let me ask you a couple of questions. I have 3 questions at this point. One is we saw in the XPath, yeah, I would share the recorded video, so don't worry about it. One is with respect to XPath, we saw the starts with, we saw the content, we did not see the ends with. So try to find out how we can use the ends with XPath. Okay, so Julia has a question here. We did not really see Selenium, all we did is writing different commands. It's not a silly question, Julia, but when you see the WebDriver, when we come to the actual scripting, you will see that we need to bring control on the elements. Say for example, I was referring to, you will have to write on a text box. Now to be able to write on a text box, you will have to use these element locators eventually, and there you will see its importance. So does it answer your question, Julia? Yeah, so we'll see it in the later section. Okay, so I asked my first question that how we can use the ends with XPath. My second question is there is something called nested predicate. So try to do some R&D on the nested predicate so that you could bring control on the element locators. I'll repeat it again. Try to do some R&D on nested predicate in XPath. And third question I have is, we saw in XPath we were using 1, 2, 3 in the Angular bracket when we had multiple elements to find out how we can represent this in CSS locator. There is a way to do this in CSS also. There are three questions. One, how to use ends with in case of XPath. Second, how to use nested predicate in case of DOM. And third is, how do you find the nth child in case of CSS locator. We will revisit this question in the next meeting. So is there any more questions? Okay, there's one question. Yeah, definitely. Don't worry guys, I'll be sharing the session recording, so don't worry about that. But if you participate in the meeting, it's good enough because it will be more of dialogue instead of me just talking and no one being there in the meeting. It looks very monologue. You can use Selenium IDE, Julia, but we will see that you really don't need Selenium IDE in a later session. You can just go with Firebug itself. Yeah. Yeah. Plan for next session. Okay, so you guys can say when it should happen, maybe next week, or okay, I'll post it on forum once again when next session could be done. So I'll just wait for you guys to give. Tomorrow is a little difficult. It could happen on the next week. I'm sorry, tomorrow I'm not free. Test website, I cannot really recommend anything, not even Google or Wikipedia, because they might sue me if I say that. So pick up anything whichever is at your disposal. These element locators you can test on any website. Yeah, automation, mobile automation will come towards the end of the session when we are done with web MOAs. Okay, okay. Yeah, I was thinking for weekly sessions, but if there is more, demand, then you can post it on forum, and if there are more participants, we can see more than just one session. Okay. Okay, so I think everyone is good to go, but please remember those three questions, don't forget them. Okay, okay, so, okay, I will end session now. So if there is any question, please post it on forum. No, you don't have to mail me, just have a look around and find out. We'll discuss them before when we begin with the next session. Okay guys, I'll share soon, don't worry about the video. I will definitely share the video of the meeting. Yeah, definitely, don't worry about it. Thank you all for participating. So I'll end the meeting now. Have a good Sunday. Yeah, and do participate more. I don't want it to be just me talking and you guys just listening to me. It's not a traditional training kind of thing. I'm just trying to share whatever I have learned. I'm not trying to portray that I know more or I know the best. You might find something which I say is wrong, so do point me, say that there's a better way to do. So do participate. Don't consider it as a training. It's more of a discussion. Yeah, we'll come to WebDriver also, so don't worry about that. I will modify the agenda more so that it becomes clear when we are covering what. Okay. Okay, sure. I'll leave my question on the forum as well. Yeah, so that will be easy. Okay, sure. So I'll end meeting now. So sure. I'll share the recording as well. Yeah. I'll